How do you feel about climate change? What do you think if you see pictures like this? Do you feel overwhelmed and want to change your life immediately? Change to a vegan diet and ride to work by bike? But the next day, you see offers like this and you get conflicted between your mind and your desires. Or you want to do more sports. But the next day, you're finding yourself browsing through Netflix, deciding for a new series you really need to watch. Let me explain what's going on in your brain and how you can resolve this conflict and take advantage of it. In 1959, Leon Festinger commissioned a study to exhibit cognitive dissonance in an experiment that was cleverly disguised as a performance experiment. Participants had been briefed that the experiment aims to observe the relationship between expectations and the actual experience of a task. With no other introduction about the experiment, the subject had been shown the tasks, which were deadly boring. They simply had to put spools into a tray, empty it again and refill the tray, and so on. After completing all boring tasks at their own preferred speed, the experimenters asked the subject to give other students background about the experiment, under the pretext that the hired person didn't show up on that day. The subject was told to give the other students impressions like, "It was very enjoyable, very exciting. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. It was very interesting. It was really fascinating." For doing this favor, the student received $1 or $20, depending on the group he was part of. After briefing the other students, the subject got interviewed to know his thoughts about the experiment. The questions included: have the tasks been interesting and enjoyable? Did the experiments allow you to learn about your ability to perform these tasks? Do you think the results of the experiment may have scientific value? Would you have any desire to participate in another similar experiment? These were the answers. The resulting dissonance of the subjects in the $1 group was somehow reduced by persuading themselves that the tasks were indeed interesting. Comparing these results to the results of the $20 group, we see a significantly lower score in the $20 group. How could that happen? People generally try to reduce the state of cognitive dissonance. Whether this leads to a change in behavior or a change in their attitude to resolve the cognitive dissonance. The subjects of the $1 group couldn't find enough reasons for the lie they told the other students. Hence, they had to change their actual opinion, their attitude about the experiment to reduce the cognitive dissonance. And why didn't the $20 group change their mind? To reduce the cognitive dissonance, you can either change the elements of the dissonant state, the attitude or the behavior, as we have seen in the $1 group, or you can change the perception of the dissonant state or your personal behavior. But you can also add new cognitive conditions which highlight the positive effect of the dissonance, like the amount of $20 in the experiment. For the $20 subjects, the justification of their misbehavior is the amount of $20, which was a lot of money during that time and enough as a reason to justify their behavior. The dissonance got rational meaningful. This is why we need to find excuses to explain how we behave. Furthermore, The larger the pressure used to change one's private opinion, beyond the minimum required to change it, the weaker will be the tendency mentioned above. This is clearly evident in a result of the $20 group. The experimenters obtained a lower score since they used a large amount of pressure compared to $1, which can be considered as the minimum pressure needed to make the change of opinion. So, what can you extract from this experiment for your own life? Going back to the initial example of climate change in meat. Vendors try to reduce the state of cognitive dissonance for their customers by labeling their meat as organic meat. And in addition, we try to trivialize the dissonant state by telling us, I had no choice, the offer was too good. My behavior alone can't stop climate change. You don't need to be strict to yourself all the time, but just be aware that your belief system needs to find a way to justify your behavior. Simply recognizing when you're experiencing tension can be helpful, even when you can't resolve those conflicting feelings completely. It gives you an opportunity to grow and make your own decision and be conscious of the reason for your decision. So always think, I have a belief system and I govern myself accordingly. Be aware that you always have 3 options to resolve the conflict. Change your beliefs, change your actions, or change how you view your actions. The more aware you are that you are experiencing cognitive dissonance, the more you can understand yourself on a deeper level and explore what values, morals, and beliefs truly matter to you in the short and the long term. You can also reduce harmful thoughts by simply adjusting the importance of one idea, belief, or attitude, so it's less dissonant. But furthermore, cognitive dissonance can help us establish positive behaviors or change that our personality or previous habits would otherwise inhibit us from making. Talk yourself into something you normally wouldn't do and see how you react afterwards. For instance, if you don't like running or hitting the gym, you may talk yourself into a bike ride or going for a jog anyway by convincing yourself that the activity is good for your health or mood. You wouldn't have done the workout for no good reason, but now that you've done it, it must be justified. If you want to learn more about cognitive dissonance and how the 2 brain parts correlate, click on this video. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and I hope to see you in the next video.